Hi, I hope you had a wonderful day. Dr. Mac here. Today we're back at the flower wholesaler because we're planning to make a magnificent floral bouquet. At least one or two. I'm thinking something very bright, very festive, and I hope they have some sunflowers. But let's go in, check out the flower wholesaler, see what's available today, and let's make something beautiful. So I'm really thinking about bright colors today, and at least one of the bouquets I want to make, it has to be based around yellow, and I'm hoping to base something around sunflowers. But I see the first flower that I want to add to this, at least one or two. There are these beautiful, look at these. That I think I definitely want to add in, or going with the other yellow, which is more sunflower colored. I think this is where we want to go. Sunflowers and daisies. This is going to be one of the bouquets. Let's build off with it. Now, these are going to be the stars of the show. This bouquet is going to be built around the sunflower, which is as summery, bright, and as colorful as it comes. This is what I want to center around, and let's pick some wonderful flowers to match this color. This Gemini Cafe, look at this coloration. It's just pink and pastel and blushing, but I love the fact that it has multiple colors on the interior. This is absolutely beautiful. I'm not necessarily building around this color, but I kind of wish I was. And this is the one I want to go with, though. This is a Gemini yellow. Not as attractive as this one. I may do something with that, but this is what I'm going to put with the sunflowers. I think I like that. I think that's it right there. Just kind of this yellow. It's a brighter sunflower yellow here. And then this is picked up here with this Gemini's yellow. This white is a little bit for the contrast, and then there's darker centers is picked up here, but it still has that brighter yellow, and just kind of staying within just that color scheme. This yellow with a little bit of white to offset the colors a little bit. And I think sometimes more is less, and in this case, I'm going to go with less is more. Instead of continue to add on to that, I think we might stop right here for this one. Okay, so what we have here is a lot of yellow, and then we have this peachy cream color. So this is gonna be two separate bouquets, but I'm really excited about these opportunities to pull these two different colors together. Again, this is gonna be yellow and white, and this was that peachy cream and white. And this looks like hypericum berries. That's what it looks like. But that color combination coming together, let's go and get this in a vase and see what we can pull together. Okay, so I want to make two bouquets, and I want to start out with sunflowers. And I've been wanting to do something really beautiful and bright for quite a while. And every time I go to the floral shop, to the wholesaler, I end up with what I feel are colors that are a bit moodier and a bit broodier. And you know what? I want to come back and create something really bright and airy. And I said, okay, how do I do that? Sunflowers. Absolutely, sunflowers. There's nothing better to give that idea of bright, airy, and sunny than to work with sunflowers. To contrast with the sunflowers, that beautiful bright yellow, I decided to go with a green vase. And I think the green vase is going to be a wonderful addition. Now, this is going to be a more simplistic take on it. I do a lot of different designs, and this time I just wanted to go something simple. And I was thinking, when I go in to make a bouquet, I start off by thinking about, okay, who is it that I'm making this for? And in this case, I'm saying, you know what, let's make this bouquet for my daughter, my oldest daughter, Blakely. That's who I want to make this one for. And what is it that she would like? She's a young teenager. What would be beautiful to her? And of course, everyone immediately thinks roses, right? And I have some roses, but nah. It's summertime, and when I think about my daughter, I'm thinking youthful, bright, airy, cheerful. That's her personality. It's Floral Vital. I love using that. That's her personality, and I wanted something that I feel would match her personality. And how do I get there? Well, with sunflowers. And I said, you know what? I want this to be really simple. I want it to be something that I think she can appreciate without having to think about it too hard. And the best way I felt to get there would be to do a vase with a lot of sunflowers in it. Now, I could just as easily have said that this is for Blair, because Blair and I used sunflowers in our wedding for the bouquet. And I say Blair and I, but it really was her decision, right? It wasn't my decision. It's not like I had a problem with it. I thought it was beautiful. But we used sunflowers in our wedding for the bouquet, and that was really beautiful. It was a memorable moment. So I could just as easily think about this as something that Blair would enjoy. But in this particular case, I'm doing this for Blakely, for my daughter. Something that I'll probably sit in her windowsill and just let her room be cheerful. She has summer, it's this summer, right? So she's not in school right now. She's spending a lot of time in her room. She's the artist, so she spends a lot of time drawing. And she doesn't probably go outside quite as much as I would like, but just to make sure that she still gets to feel the summer sun, because nothing says summer sun like sunflowers. Just make sure you get these stems aligned, and I'm just kind of making sure these are predominantly just all facing out. I'm going to blend some other things in here, but I wanted to get all the sunflowers in first because they're the core. Now typically when I say something is the core, then I would add it in last. I wouldn't add it in first, but in this case I'm going in first with the sunflowers. I'm not adding a lot more to this. I have, just to contrast it a little bit, these Gemini. And this is yellow Gemini, very simply named. They're a bit shorter, so I definitely don't want to take off as much on the end of those. And then I'm just going to work these in. And they're so similar that you'll think that there's nothing in here but sunflowers. But the Gemini actually cost more than the sunflowers did. But I think my daughter is gonna really enjoy this. I think this would be beautiful to her to have something so bright and airy in her space. This is definitely going in her windowsill in her bedroom. If my wife doesn't take it. Blair may wanna take it. She may say, hey, that's pretty, I want that. And I think that you can really do simple bouquets sometimes. And of course, you know, I like the more complex things. Some of the things I've done recently, I feel have been much more complex. And then I had a situation like this where I say, you know what? I don't want to be complex. I want to be simple. I want it to just be stems and flowers. And a lot of times I'm all about foliage, and I want to do something different and add a lot of foliage in. And I may add a bit of color in here. If I do, it'll be white. I may add some white in here. We'll see. But so far, this is coming together exactly as I wanted. It looks this looks like I lost one. It's just a stem. I lost the head. Look at that. Unfortunately, I lost the head there. You know, you go to the flower shop and you pick up these at the wholesaler and you buy these bunches and you're trying to pick good ones. But look at that. I lost several of these, unfortunately, not usable. The vast majority of them are usable. I was able to add them in. So I wish I hadn't lost the ones that I did lose, but that does happen. You know, you tend to lose a few blooms here and there. So tell me, what do you think about that? Now, you may feel as though it's a little thin. It's just stems and sunflowers, but that really is what I wanted. Just stems and sunflowers. That's what I was aiming for in this case. Stems and sunflowers. We could add in a little bit more. We'll see. You know, if we were to stop right there, I think I would be happy. But just to contrast it a little bit, but to stay in that same color family, I have these marigolds, and I may be able to work in just one or two. This is the African marigold, very stemmy, thick stems. And if I can get one, I love the shape of it, but they're not grown necessarily to go into a pot. But I'll take one. Take some of these leaves off and make sure these leaves are not down into the water line. Take some of these off just to add a little bit of variety, just a little bit, not too much. I want to definitely stay complementary with the colors, not trying to do a contrast. I love doing contrasting colors, but in this case, I was aiming for simple. And considering that who I'm giving this to, my daughter's, again, younger, and I don't want to go and give her anything that she has to think about. I don't want her to have to put a lot of thought and say, does this look good, Dad? And I'm trying to explain it to her. Like, no, Blakely, it's nice. Let's go. Look at that. So I have this. And it's gonna go down into the center here. And it's gonna fill that in just a little bit. I'm gonna have to raise the water level up, but that's fine because there's nothing in there but just stems. Let's set this back to the side. And that's just kind of filling in the interior just a little bit. What more do we want to add? We could do a little bit more. I don't know if I want to or if I want to stop right here, but you know what? I think we have a little bit more that we can add to give us a little more contrast, because this is all complementary colors. That's what we're thinking here, all complementary colors. And I'm loving the yellows. But what if we add a yellow that is a little closer to bronze, because this Gemini, if you can't really make it out, but the interior of the Gemini, it has almost a bronze ring in there. And here we have some chrysanthemums, and I just want to add these. And you say, hold on, they don't really match. They do, trust me, they do. I'm tying into the color off of the Gemini. It has an interior, which is a bronze color in there. And that's what I'm tying into. It's just gonna fill it in a little bit. Just get a little bit of this in here, kind of interior, just to fill it up a little bit more. I was feeling it was a little thin in there. About right here, yeah. Into that interior right there. And then there's one more head of this that I want to get in there. And again, back into the center, because that's where I want these to be, to where the sunflowers now are predominantly ringing on the outside, and I have these chrysanthemums in the center. And I actually like height variance. I do prefer variances in height, but I do feel like this one's a little too tall. Let me take it down just a little more. So there we go. Tell me what you think. I'm done with this. This is gonna go to my daughter. It's gonna go on her windowsill, and it is all summer and sunshine, bright colors. That's all I wanted for her. Something that I think that she would find really attractive. And it's just something to brighten her day and make her feel better about herself. Not that she feels bad about herself, but better about herself, better about her day, and about the space that she's living in. Make it a little brighter and airier. And what you think about this one? And let's move on to the next bouquet. Now, I bought a bit of baby's breath, and I want to fill it in just a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit of baby's breath, because I'm going to add in another star of the show in just a moment. Now this one's going to be kind of an exterior. Let me just kind of work that down into there. There we go. Going around the outer rim just a little bit, because I don't like it to be too vertical. Right now I feel like this bouquet is very vertical, and this baby breath is going to help me add a little bit more depth to the overall design. Now that's hanging way off to the side, a little too far out. Baby's breath is stemmy, is leggy, and it's really fragile, so you have to be careful not to break it as you're working with it. I want to get a piece in the interior, and then one more piece, I think. And that's going to go on this side. Breaking up some of those vertical lines, because it really was just a lot of stems sticking straight up in the air a moment ago. Just kind of working my way around, making sure that it's balanced. And there we go. And now this is come together really well. But I have 2 stars of the show to still add in, and I'm really excited to get them worked in. The Gemini is going in last. Well, you know what? The Gemini is not going in last. The Gemini is going in now. This Cafe Gemini. Can't wait any longer. Let's get this in here. Now I do want these to stand a little taller than most everything else, because I really want them to be highlighted. So I'm going to cut these a little longer, and then we're going to just work these in. I'm going to go all the way around, just any place in the space that I see that I could just get them in there. This is coming together exactly as I envisioned. This is so pretty to me, and these are the perfect color combinations. This is what I wanted, just kind of this peachy, creamy color, and the white accents in here. And this is exactly what I was hoping for when I first started to put this together. Let's keep the Gemini towards the exterior. Because they're leaning over, they're kind of pointing out. You think of daffodils, the way they lean to one side. These are not vertical, and I want to make sure that the faces are visible. And I think that's it. I don't want to overdo it. And I have some Gemini left. I'm going to set these to the side, and I will probably do another vase. And I'll hold on to these last carnations that I have as well, clean these up, and I will likely do another vase, something shorter and smaller, and I'll work these Gemini carnations in there together. I have a bit of baby's breath left as well that I could use that. But I want to get to the last flower that I want to add to this bouquet. And this is one that my wife did pick. She saw it and she said, that's what I want. I want that. I want those roses. And I said, you sure? And she's like, yes, those are the ones I want. I said, okay, we'll get them. And so we picked up these roses. And I thought that the star of the show was going to be the Gemini. But as I started to pour this together, I realized rose is always queen. Now I have a tool to strip the thorns off of here, because you do have to be careful working with roses. They'll get you. And I'd rather not have a lot of problems like that with a lot of fingers that hurt. With the roses, as with everything else I've talked about, I just want the stems. So let me clean these stems up and get these beautiful roses into this vase. And this is, look at that. It's just kind of a peachy type rose. That's what we wanted. Now these are going more interior, a little tall. Take a little bit off the bottom. Just want to test the height. And the roses are the reason I wanted to hold off on these and put them in after the Gemini. And I wanted to get that baby breath in before. Baby breath and roses just go together so well. I did want the roses to stand a little taller above everything else in this bouquet. I do like the height separation. I don't like everything being all at one height. I want you to look across and see different things as you're looking at the different elements of the bouquet. Across it, you see different things. At different heights, you see different things. But you still don't want the roses to stand too tall. Not all of them, of course, but a couple, just so you can know that they're all there, and then you'll start to look for those other ones. This one, I think, may be still a little too tall. Now, these are hybrid tea roses. I don't typically see hybrid teas in this color, but I was really glad when I found it. I was like, wow, that's a beautiful color rose. It's very apricot. It's just really blushing and pale, pastel, peachy. So it was one when I saw it, when my wife said she wanted it, I'm like, oh yeah. I didn't tell her how much I agreed with her. I absolutely agreed with her. As soon as I saw this rose, I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. Now, the great thing is, I'm stripping it, but it's not a very thorny rose. There are a few thorns. I don't want to imply that it is a thornless rose, of which there are a very small amount of nearly thornless roses. That is not the case here. I don't want to overdo it. Sometimes you have to know when to stop. And I think that's it. I think that's it for this bouquet. And I want to just hold off right there because I have enough foliage left, enough flowers left to do one more vase. I was only planning to do 2, but I think I would get 3 out of this. This is my favorite of everything I've ever made, of all the bouquets that I've ever put together. This is absolutely my favorite. No doubt about it, hands down. I love these colors. I think this came together so well. So this is the last bouquet, and I just grabbed the pieces that I had left. I had a few of the roses left. I had some carnations left, and the baby's breath, and the Cafe Gemini, and I just put it all in a little vase. This is what you get when you go to those wholesalers. You have a little bit left over, and you want to make sure it all ends up in a vase. It doesn't end up on the floor. You bought it. Let it be something beautiful for you. And that's what I think I produced here, something really small, petite, and pretty. and I'm really happy with it. Hey, if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm enjoying this process of delving deeper into different aspects of horticulture. I love flowers, I love gardening, and I'm kind of really getting into this because I love playing with color. I see this as painting with flowers, and I'm enjoying it so much. If you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow along. The channel is slowly growing, and I would love for you to be along with us as we continue to grow. Until next time, take care.